EDCI 702 candidates, Dr. Palermo with your Week 9 instructional video. Lots happening, but some things that I've turned off and that should free you up to focus on what's, I think, most important this week, which is getting some of your evidence work done, as well as moving forward with your understanding of program evaluation in Fitzpatrick. You should have a considerable work done already on your CNA and your OA, and you should be starting to think at least about your program evaluation in a little bit more depth. And the assignments to read this week were several chapters in Fitzpatrick, chapters 4 through 7 in Fitzpatrick. If you're not reading every single word of these chapters as they're assigned, make sure that you're skimming at least and looking at every one of these pages and thinking about these various different models of program evaluation. It is soon that you must decide what approach you're going to take to doing your program evaluation. So thinking about this and the writings that you are asked to do in the discussion board, you should be starting to write your PE through your discussion posts. Okay, so in this case, think about the approach, the way you're going to evaluate your program. And chapter 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 actually describe different approaches. But are you looking at this as an expert? When someone comes to do a SACS or a Southern States evaluation, an accreditation evaluation at your school, they're taking an expertise approach. These are outside experts coming in and looking at your school and evaluating your school against the benchmark of their expertise. Or consumer-oriented approaches to evaluation. Maybe you want to go back to my hamburger analogy and think about consumers. How did consumers evaluate Coke Zero or the new Coke? There is no more new Coke, and that tells you how they evaluated it. Chapter 6 is on program-oriented evaluation approaches, and if you think about it, an objectives orientation to evaluation is probably the way that we will go. You should pick and choose different portions of the various different program evaluation approaches to make sure that you're having a good match between your program and your model of evaluation. There are different models. Look at them. Think through that. The logic model requires program planners or evaluators to identify inputs, activities, outputs, and outcomes. I will tell you that my personal bias here is toward the CIPP model of a program evaluation. It is a program-oriented approach. It thinks about inputs, activities, outputs, and outcomes. And if that's not exactly your model, SIP is in chapter 7, figure 7.1, talks about the SIP model. And if you've heard or if you recognize the name Stufflebeam, funny name, but Stufflebeam and SIP, CIPP model of program evaluation. It's hard to beat that one. And start there perhaps if you don't know where to start, and then come back to it. Now, are you an outside expert looking at your program? That's often a good way to avoid bias and make it more valid. Or are you a participant? If you're in a school and you are evaluating a program of which you are a participant, or if you're one of the teachers implementing the program and you're evaluating it, you're taking a participant approach. So again, you might be doing a consumer or an objective program-oriented evaluation of your program. But if you are a participant in it, then you're incorporating that aspect of this as well. And there are differences in participatory approaches, but check that out well, that's going to be chapter 8. So that's coming next week. But skim at least chapters 4 through 7 in Fitzpatrick and start to think about how you're going to approach this program evaluation. Now, because wrapping your mind around program evaluation is sometimes a hard thing, there are lots of extra resources over here, and one of your assignments this week is to review the resources related to program evaluation over here in the resources folder. I have to say that Dr. Brown has loaded lots of great stuff here, but how do you sort through it and decide where you want to go with your PE? Well, take a look here. A lot of the evaluation models, the better evaluation, the items that are listed here, some of them come from the CDC, Center for Disease Control. Government agencies and others are involved in program evaluation. They want to know whether the programs that they are implementing are effective or not. So decision-oriented program evaluation is another model. And again, you're going to be blending or incorporating probably several different models, including a logic model, including SIP. So take a look at some of these resources, please, and spend some time clicking around and checking them out. I went in particular through resources. I wanted to highlight something here for you. Let me see if I can find my way back to it. Here is SIP. Logic model resources. I came here to the logic model resources. The Kellogg Foundation has some good stuff. There's just lots of good stuff here. Click around until you have found something that works for you. School and District Program Evaluation Guide. If you need a place to start, I might read this little handbook. And I always, well, as I've come back to this in time, the McGrail stuff is quality, and it's related directly to schools. I have skipped down here to the end to the templates and the type of, this stuff makes sense to me sometimes. When I look at the template and I think about plugging in my program to these types of models, this is where it makes sense. So a data collection plan, a data analysis plan, a summary of the actions. These are good forms, and this may, again, provide you with a template that you can use to organize your program evaluation. Now I'm having trouble. Okay. Again, where did I find this? The School and District Program Evaluation Guide. There are lots of different models here you need to think about and to decide upon a model, an approach to this type of program evaluation. And a logic model, the SIP model, may work for you. Give it a try. But spend some time clicking around here. Now, I have removed a couple of the posts. One of the posts asks you to think about your approach, so please do that. After you've read Fitzpatrick 4-7, think about the approach that you intend to take. And again, if you can think through this and really decide that it's going to be a program-oriented approach, but you're a participant and you're going to try to make a decision, yay or nay, about this program at the end, write that up and write up your logic, because that's that's the introduction to your PE. What model are you using and why did you pick that? So do a good job and think through this and then use that in your PE, please. Now, I closed this one. You're not going to see a program evaluation resource review. Please do review the resources over here. I didn't ask you to write about that. I also did not ask you to write about the TLMS, but please don't forget that the teacher leader model standards are the foundation undergirding all of the work that you're doing, please think about how the standards do impact you, how they've impacted your coursework or your professional evidence work so far this semester. Think about that, please. Do please load your CNAA for some peer review this week. Okay? So keep the ball rolling, keep reading, check out the resources that are here, and do write something about the approach that you will take to help get the PE started. Now, have you gone here to turn it in? Because you are soon going to be turning in something to me for evaluation. And before you do that, you need to check it yourself and see that you're not over quoting, that you're appropriately citing and quoting the resources that you're using to write your evidences. It shouldn't be a problem unless you're relying heavily on the rubric or rely heavily on the rubric. That's a good thing. I hope you're not relying heavily on the exemplars, the models that are out there for you to see, or copying others. Do not copy other people's work. And that's what Turnitin is going to help you see. So if you have not followed through, if you haven't watched the video and how to submit a paper and how to interpret the originality reports, these videos are not long, and this is a fairly simple process. But after you have watched the videos and understand the process, then please do come down here and click on one of the assignments and check out, submit your OA here or your CNA, and check them out prior to submitting them to me, please. Okay? So Turnitin, you may have an opportunity to use Turnitin this week or next week. There's not a discussion board or an actual assignment. This is for your use, and you have, I think, up to 8 or 10 different submissions that you can make. Once you've made one submission in assignment 1, you'll need to go on to assignment 2 or 3 or 4. Okay? I'm not going to be checking that stuff. The Turnitin is for you. Okay. So read, check out the resources, write a feedback on the model that you'll take for your PE, do a CNA peer review. Here's a little bit of a cartoon that shows you. I'm always thinking about our TLMS and your subject matter of mentoring when I'm reading the paper. So there it is. Citations, when to use an ampersand. Cool. Thank you. Have a great week. Write to me if you have questions.